All right, talking here with Chris from Wolfmother. Start the show off with a tune, a song that I guess broke you over here. I guess there were singles out in the UK and Australia before, but Woman's the song that seems to be working out over here right now.
Yep. That's the one there, the single they're going with over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your choice? Label's choice?
It's a bit of both, really. Yeah, totally. I mean, it comes across as a strong, short song that people can go, wow, that's Wolfmother, sort of thing. But, there's so many different facets to what we're doing as well. There's the whole, there's the woman style rock out song, and then there's,
stuff like Vagabond, a little slower, cool stuff.
Totally. And then there's like full groove based kind of like Dimension, Love Train, Witchcraft style, and then there's...
I don't have Love Train. I have the Australian version. I don't get to hear it. I've never heard the song. I'm going to download it today.
You should get it. Yeah, that's actually, in essence, was our very first song.
Oh, no way.
When we first started jamming, I discovered putting distortion through keyboards, and Andrew discovered jumping around and going nuts.
Yeah.
And we just played that riff over and over for days, and we were like, yeah. And then fucking 5 years later, we decided to turn it into a song.
Nice. Well, let's play Woman. I'll go home, download it off iTunes, Love Train, and we'll throw them back to back.
Okay,
show people new stuff and some old stuff, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
Talking with Chris from Wolfmother, you just heard Woman, Love Train. Love Train re-recorded for the new stuff, or was it just the same demo version from way back when?
No, the demo version, well, it wasn't even really a demo version, was basically like two riffs, no structure, just chaos. And there were some bits we could never recapture from the first version. We just did these, we just recorded a jam, and somehow we went out of time and did these hits and then came back into time together, and we were like, yeah, how did we do that? And every time we tried to recreate it, we were like, no, that's not it. So we had to restructure it a bit so that we could figure out how it worked.
Nice. You mentioned putting distortion through keyboards and stuff. Play bass and keyboards. What came first for you?
Keyboards. I played guitar for years, and then I started teaching it. And
oh, really?
I think through teaching it, I got jack of playing it. I kind of thought, oh yeah, this is cool. I can make some money from teaching guitar and stuff. And it was really cool. I really enjoyed teaching, sharing, and watching people develop. And especially when I taught heaps of kids. I used to teach groups of kids before school and stuff. And
nice.
I don't know how I did it. I couldn't do it now. It's chaos. But just you get such reward from the one kid who just has can play and connects and is really into it. But that, in retrospect, kind of every day I'd go home and just look at the guitar and go, nah. And then I don't know, I started, my brother always played awesome blues piano, so I don't know, I just started getting into synths and stuff, and then once I discovered putting distortion, an organ through distortion, I was like, why don't metal bands do this? You've got a bass and a guitar and then another guitar with your other hand, and it's you can make it so heavy too. So that came first, and then we kind of had this jam space for years. We used to hang out, and then we had to move, and out of necessity we just kind of got this space where we were desperate to jam, so we just took in a few guitars and drums, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll play bass. It's actually Miles's bass, which I still use because I love it.
Awesome.
It's the best one. But yeah, it was really cool just to focus on playing one instrument, and then after a while I just kind of thought, I think I could add more if I bring in a keyboard and do something like that. And Miles was like, yeah, we should try that Love Train riff that we did ages ago and stuff. And so that kind of... So originally I was playing keyboards first, but in Wolfmother I was just playing bass, and then I was like, I'll bring in a keyboard because I feel I can add more to it if I have that.
Obviously live, you're going back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
Any chance you'll ever get a fourth, a touring keyboard or something, so you can just do the one?
Nah.
You going back and forth?
Yeah.
Cool.
I love both of them, and I love that it's pretty much 50-50, so it keeps me really engaged too, because I find my keyboard playing, I've got so much to learn, so every time I try to play it, it's a real challenge to put in new things, and the bass is just I just dig the sound of it and the groove of it and the way it feels to play, and it's just good fun, sort of no-brainer jump around thing.
Yeah, definitely. Love the keyboard or the organ riff, I guess, on Mind's Eye. It sounds amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that breakdown in the middle.
That kind of came about from when I first started playing the organ in Wolfmother, and a friend came around. I had an electric piano sitting in my lounge room, and he came around and started playing all this classical stuff, and I was like, oh man, can you teach me how to play properly? And he's like trying to show me some like Bach thing or something, and I kind of figured it out, but I just kept changing it and going, no, I want it to go like this, and then I sort of came in to the jam space, and it was just me and Andrew, which was kind of weird because it's usually the three of us, or Andrew and Miles, but it was the first time we got together early without drums, and I kind of had these mellow chord patterns and a little arpeggio thing, and so Mind's Eye starts off really mellow because it was just the two of us without any drums, and then Miles kind of rocked up a while later, and there's this big cacophony at the end where it just takes off and sort of goes stellar, and that's how that song kind of came about.
Cool. You want to play it now? Might as well.
Yeah,
We're talking about it. Zeppelin or Sabbath for you?
Sabbath.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. I heard you guys didn't sound anything like what you sound like originally. It was more like a hip-hop kind of Beastie Boys style.
Yeah, it was all sorts of stuff. Because we had this room where we just used to hang out, and, I've always collected... From playing guitar, I started getting into nice guitars and amps, and then I started getting into, like, vintage synths and Moogs and old organs, and then stuff like tape echoes and things like that. So... it was always about, the warmth and quality of sound and stuff. And
very vintage style stuff.
Yeah. So we sort of had all this gear and all these different things, but I also had like turntables, and Miles had drum machines and stuff. So
wow,
we were really kind of like three musicians who didn't know what they were doing. And sometimes you'd go in there and you'd lay something down and like play some guitar riff on tape, and then turn the tape around and play it backwards, and
like
then
the Beatles,
just all sorts of just experimenting. But it was always kind of the three of us with our own ideas, and then you'd present it to the other people and we'd kind of muck around with stuff. But it never, not until we really did Wolfmother, where all three of us worked on creating it together, did we really sort of find a sound that was unique to the three of us and really worked with us. Before that, we were kind of doing our own things and trying to do things together, and so there was sort of three people doing their own sort of songs, and then three people jamming, and we'd never sort of connected the two for ages. And
well, now you are. It sounds great.
Now we've got it. Now we've got our sound and we know what we're doing.
Nice. Was most of this stuff written in Australia or in the rehearsal space in LA?
I think pretty much like the essence of everything was done in Australia, but we spent like a month fully working with Sadi to refine everything from the perspective of listening to it on a CD at home and stuff, or in a car or whatever. Like a lot of our songs were written just before we had to do a show. We needed another song, so we're like, okay, we'll write another song, and then from playing it live, you're like, okay, that bit's a little bit too long, so we'll shorten that. And we really had our songs structured for a live set to engage a live audience, which is, as you know from going to shows, is totally different from listening to a CD. So we'd take a lot of liberties live, we still do, and like stretch things way out. But then Sadi would be like listening to us going, no, that's really cool, but I'm not playing it, so I'm not into it as much as you guys are, and maybe you could cut that back a little bit and move that bit over there and stuff like that. And
does that hurt as a band? I mean, working on your first record with a guy telling you that doesn't sound that good?
No, we've always been like, even the three of us, it's constantly refining the song, so we're always throwing in our ideas, and we're very open-minded. And Sadi was pretty much the same, so it was excellent to have a fourth person who was just focused on listening. He didn't have to worry about playing or anything, and you could kind of just throw an idea at him and just keep going with what you're doing as well. So he was kind of like a listening post, and bounce ideas off him and stuff. And he really taught us to communicate, in the traditional verse, pre-chorus kind of terminology,
rock and roll styles,
which we didn't use before. Like we just used to say, the bit that's like riding through the desert, or the bit that's like wigging out on acid or something, and he was really good like that. But he was also open to ideas as well. Like he sometimes he'd sort of go, well, you got a chorus, but it doesn't have any lyrics, it's just got a cool riff. And we're like, yeah, that's all right.
You got Bob Dylan, 10 minutes, no chorus. Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, stuff like that. Let's play another song. What do you want to hear off your record?
White Unicorn.
Nice, good tune. No, you're just looking at my list and going through them.
Well, when we first did that, because that was the longest song in our demo, and people started playing it on radio, and I think at the time it was probably like a 7 or 8 minute version.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, people are playing that on radio. You know, it doesn't usually happen these days. It's got to be 3 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So I still like to hear people play that. It's kind of different from what you usually hear on radio these days.
I love it. I want to talk about downloading music real quick. How do you feel about it? Good or bad?
I think it's good, but I mean, the way, you know, I grew up, I think my brothers tricked me into, like, they'd bring over a pile of records and a pile of cassettes and say, can you tape these records for me? And taping vinyl, you know, you have to sit down and listen to it.
Yeah,
so I kind of listened to all these records, and I think they were like, you know, you should listen to this, but I'll just ask you to record it for me, sort of thing. So I mean, I don't actually download stuff, really. I kind of grab a few things. I use it more as a tool to search out stuff, the same as I'd sort of go and browse a record shop. Mm-hmm. But I still love, like, you know, getting bands from friends and stuff and going into a shop where you know the person and checking everything out. So yeah, I really love that hands-on experience, and I think it's kind of a pity that, you know, it's so easy to, like, get music onto your computer in one respect, because you don't listen to it. You know, it's while you're putting it on the computer, which is kind of like, I end up putting so much stuff on there and then listen to it on my iPod and go, oh, I'll delete that one. But it's kind of, it's good in a way to search stuff out. But for, you know, if you really want to get into it, then I find, you know, you have to go out and get the artwork and fully see what the band's about. And I find it's more rewarding to find a band from, you know, like your friend put you onto them or something like that. And
cool.
It's another tool.
Yeah. Let's play another song, Vagabond, and then do 5 quick questions.
Okay.
Lennon or McCartney?
The Beatles. I like the Beatles, and I don't think I particularly like any of them individually. I like them as a band. Yeah, I've always found that really interesting, how people pick, you know, one member of the Beatles, and I'm always like, it's a band, that's what makes them unique. And you listen to their stuff after they're a band, and I'm kind of like, you were better when you were the Beatles.
I agree. Alcohol or marijuana?
Now alcohol.
Cool.
Previously it would have been marijuana,
yeah.
But yeah.
You're grown up. Song you've written you're most proud of?
I like them all. But, you know, people often say that as a musician you always like the most recent thing that you've done, which I think is the case, because I quite like Where Eagles Have Been, because I find that a real challenge, especially to play live, because I kind of wrote these bits that were a little bit complex, so I'm always kind of like, oh, okay, here we go, gonna get it this time. And I like Witchcraft as well, because that was another new song that we did in the studio. So
nice. And one word, Wolfmother.
One word, far out. Far out. There you
go.
One
word. One song, close us out. What do you want to hear off your record?
Love Train.
We already played it.
Oh, we played that? Damn it. I don't know. I dig them all.
Joker and the
They're
Thief?
Cool. Yeah, Joker and the Thief's pretty rad.
Continuation of All Along the Watchtower? Anything to do with it?
I think, like, Andrew writes all the lyrics, and I think he was listening to a lot of Dylan at the time, so I think the title was inspired by that. We were also, like, getting into, we had this whole phase of doing things really loose, so we had a lot of loose groove-based songs, and then all of a sudden we kind of got into this phase of, let's do all hits together and go bang, 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 and we really got into that. So Joker and the Thief is just full of stuff like that, and whole sort of breakdowns of dun, 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 you know, things like that. So I don't know if that's inspired by Dylan. It's probably more Metallica or something.
Oh, just the words I was thinking. Anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.